Hey guys, I hope you all are doing well. So for the past month, one of our team members has been using the Galaxy M52 as his daily driver, and now we are finally here with its full review. Since we first uploaded M52's impressions video, we've been receiving so many questions about the phone, so let me address those real quick. Actually, I have them listed out on my phone. Okay, so the first question many of you have asked is what is the storage type on the Galaxy M52? And I am happy to inform you that it's the good old UFS 2.1 here, whose speed is almost identical to the Galaxy A52s. Next up, does the M52 support carrier aggregation and how's the network connectivity? Yes, the Galaxy M52 supports carrier aggregation, and while some of the reviewers have complained about the network issues on their unit, we haven't had any such issues so far. However, I am not sure if the M52 supports dual 5G. Snapdragon 778G that's powering the M52 is well equipped to handle dual 5G SIMs, yet it's unclear if Samsung has retained that feature here. They have mentioned the support for 11 5G bands on this phone, but nothing regarding its dual 5G capability. Okay, the next question is which version of One UI M52 has? So the M52 runs on full-fledged version of One UI 3.1 and not its core edition, which we used to see on M series from Samsung. Hence, the M52 comes with features like knock security, secure folder, and is also compatible with Good Lock. Okay, question number 4 is, do we get a dedicated micro SD card slot or is it hybrid? Sadly, the Galaxy M52 here does not have a dedicated micro SD card slot, but rather uses a hybrid SIM slot. I'm sorry I did not mention this in my impressions video, but in my defense, I don't really use a micro SD card on phones these days. I used to back in 2014 and 2015 when we had like 16 and 32 GB storage on mid-range phones, but I think 128 GB is more than enough for most users. Okay, the final question is if the Galaxy M52 has a 15 watt or a 25 watt charger inside the box. Here the phone does support 25 watt fast charging, although Samsung only ships a 15 watt power brick, which is kind of a letdown because both the Galaxy M62 and M51 had a 25 watt charger inside the box, and they were also cheaper than the Galaxy M52. Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk in detail about the Galaxy M52, starting with the things we did not like about this phone. And the first aspect is definitely its design. Here you get a slim and lightweight build quality, which some of you might prefer. But for me, since its weight is distributed over the slash chassis, there's no substantial heft to it. As a result, we felt the phone to be a little too hollow. To compare, the Xiaomi 11 Lite NE that I have with me is even lighter, but its hands-on feel is much better. Likewise, Samsung has also cheaped out by offering a plastic back and frames here, which we all know is not very durable. And you will also end up getting more scratches and discoloration at the back. I also don't understand why Samsung did not bother to bring new refreshing patterns and color options here. They have pretty much borrowed the same glossy design that we saw on the much cheaper Galaxy M32. Another aspect where the M52 does not score good numbers is in terms of the audio and haptics. It lacks a 3.5mm headphone jack, and Samsung has only included a mono speaker on this phone. So this one does not get as loud and immersive as other mid-range phones I've tested so far. We also found the M52's haptic feedback to be simply too weak and loose, so it is obvious that Samsung has not included a good vibration motor here. Likewise, in the videography department, the company has deliberately disabled EIS at both 4K 30fps and 1080p 60fps modes. Plus, it hasn't used image cropping to achieve some level of stabilization either. Hence, footages have noticeable jitters here and there. Now, if you can live with these inferiorities, everything else is top-notch for the price on the Galaxy M52. Here, the first thing that you will like about this phone is its display. As expected from a Samsung-made screen, it delivers pitch-black contrast and the colors on the screen look pretty vibrant and punchy. And you will not face any issues in terms of visibility as well, be it indoors or even outdoors. The ambient sensor kicks in fairly fast enough to adjust brightness levels too, so that's great. Plus, the 120Hz refresh rate here means everything just flows. It also stays clear of the weird micro stutter issue that we usually associate with other cheaper mid-range phones with higher refresh rate. The only thing to complain about the M52's display is that it does not support HDR playback on Netflix. It is Wide1 L1 certified for HD streaming, sure, but the lack of HDR support means the phone cannot reproduce two blacks when I'm watching Marvel's Daredevil here, especially the hallway fight scenes, for instance. Performance is also finally something I cannot complain about the Galaxy M52. It is most certainly not better than the competition per se, but Qualcomm Snapdragon 778G powering this phone is quite a capable SoC and a massive upgrade coming from the Snapdragon 730G on last year's Galaxy M51. We are fairly content with how this phone has handled everyday workloads too. Heavy multitasking, however, did take a toll on our 6GB RAM variant, so if you are planning on buying this phone, I would strongly advise you to get the 8GB model instead. Though the 6GB configuration handles lightweight usage just fine, I notice a bit of a lag when kicking things up a notch. Likewise, although the Galaxy M52 is not specifically geared towards gaming, you can get decent results here. I got a stable 40 FPS in PUBG Mobile under HDR graphics and ultra frame rates, whereas for a smoother 60 FPS gameplay, you can dial down the settings to smooth graphics and extreme frame rates. You can also enjoy Call of Duty Mobile at a steady 60 FPS under very high graphics and very high frame rates, or high graphics and max frame rates. Similarly, Mobile Legends also delivers an easy 60 FPS under high graphics with HD and HFR mode turned on. Samsung has even optimized high FPS titles to work well on this high refresh rate screen. You can play Critical Ops at ultra graphics and get a smooth 120 FPS. Yet, when playing Injustice 2, the M52 begins to break a sweat. It rarely hits the 120 FPS mark and hovers around 90 to 95 FPS boundary instead. Genshin Impact is sadly unplayable under high settings at 60 FPS mode with motion blur turned off, since the gameplay is way too stuttery here, managing only about 33 FPS on a couple of occasions. On the contrary, bringing it down to medium settings gets you about 41 FPS with comparatively fewer stutters. However, because the Galaxy M52 is such a slim phone, it does not handle thermals as better as, say, the Galaxy A52s, which features the same Snapdragon 778G chipset. We found that this phone gets warm rather quickly, especially near the camera module after like mere 10 minutes into the game. I would not necessarily call it a heating issue, but it surely gets warmer than other Snapdragon 778G phones I've tested so far. As for the camera side of things, what I can confidently say is that the Galaxy M52 is the best phone for photos at this price. I have already made its comparison video with the Galaxy A52s and the OnePlus Nord 2, so you can check them out for more in-depth analysis. In short, you're getting the classic Samsung calibration here, and hence you can expect slightly punchy yet eye-pleasing color reproduction in normal and ultra-wide-angle images, while portraits enjoy good skin tone and pleasant bokeh effect. Likewise, selfies have this nice skin tone, and the results are definitely better than from the competition out there. Finally, the battery life on the Galaxy M52 is quite amazing as well. Obviously, it's not as good as other M series phones from the past that featured 7000 mAh cell. Nevertheless, you can rely on it for a day's worth of endurance at all times, since it easily manages about 6.5 to 7 hours of screen on time on moderate to medium usage. So that brings me to the end of this review. I think the Galaxy M52 is the closest thing to a value for money Samsung phone at the moment, but most importantly, it manages to deliver a similar smartphone experience as the much more expensive Galaxy A52s. From their display, performance to battery, these phones deliver quite comparable results. Still, from market feedback, what I am hearing is that people are opting for the Galaxy A52s instead because of its stunning looks, whereas the Galaxy M52 is not that good looking. And if you are one of those people, definitely go with the Galaxy A52s. But if you're someone who uses a back cover anyway, save some money and get the Galaxy M52 instead. So guys, that was all for our full review of the Samsung Galaxy M52 5G. We are coming up with a lot of interesting videos like this one. So stay tuned to Gadget Byte by subscribing to our channel and hitting that bell icon. Till then, I'm Pratima and I will see you in my next video.